intro, but for some reason, it's kind of, I don't know. It's like the shows have just been starting with just a conversation. People come in whenever they come in.
Got it.
So let me just check and see what it looks like. We got one person here. Welcome. Two. So they'll come. So on that note, a couple of things while we're waiting. One is we are being suppressed quite a bit. It usually takes about 15 minutes for people to come in. We had about 160 people in the last show, but it took probably almost 20 minutes before a lot of people started coming in. So if you could, if the shows resonate with you, if you could share it to a page or to one group or something, that'd be cool as we work through and with these energies that are just like us. They're not our antagonists or our opponents. The second thing is that we'll be talking about a lot this weekend. I'm going to be coming on doing some creative stuff this weekend online, live, radio remixes, stuff like that. I got several of your videos, by the way. I don't know if you know that. Have you noticed that?
I think we've caught a couple of them. Like, whoa, wait, that's deeper. That's Heather. There it is.
Yeah. So, and but anyway, so we're it's official. We have a website. It's not ready. We're gonna release it tomorrow. Sology Fest 2021, the first annual Sology Fest. It looks like it's going to be 2.5 days, the 28th, 29th, and 30th. We discovered that the 31st is Memorial Day. So we are going to create space on Memorial Day, either at that venue or maybe somewhere else, which will piggyback on the Sology Fest or be a continuation of it. But that part of it, the way it sounds, will just be a free, everybody come like Woodstock type of deal, So we're excited about that. We hope that our brother and sister in arms, the powers of love, can meet us there. And
where are you going to be?
Sedona.
Well, shoot howdy, man. Well, I'll be a son of a tarantula. We're actually crossing stars. We're going for the first time on Equinox.
Where are you going? To Sedona.
Yeah.
So first you're time. Going. You're going this month. You're going in 10 days.
Yeah. So when are you going to be there? The end of April or the end of this month?
End of May. End of May.
End of May. Well,
28, 29. I might have said March, but I meant May. 28, 29, 30th, and now we're going to include the 31st. So we will. I got a couple things to do with some of our team members. Vibrational Empowerment Network is, collaborating with us and facilitating this. I've got a couple things to get over to Christy Grace, who's been phenomenal and has had a lot of experience doing this.
I love that name.
Yeah, Christy Grace. She's very cool, very powerful. But yeah, once I get that information to her, she tweaks a couple of things. We'll release the website with the ticketing information and the early information. Then as time goes on, we'll add more and more to it, as far as who's going to be there, and that type of thing. Excuse me. So my throat chakra's struggling here. So something's happening.
Doing, man? You've been grooving. You're continuing to ride this ride. And I continue to be amazed. For those of you that are just maybe, I can't imagine some of you seeing Todd Medina for the first time, but if you're coming from my audience, Todd Medina is one that is constantly talking to many, many beings from all different spectrums of consciousness and practice and awareness. And you have just got to be a smorgasbord of inspiration and information and activation.
Well, I was talking to David Manning about this before the last show because he kind of was talking about the same thing. And I was telling him, and I told somebody yesterday too, it started a few weeks before, like say mid-October. I started to notice something. Now this is 2,400 shows deep at that point, right? And I started to notice that the impact of this, which is really like a session to me, it's like more like a conference. It's more like a Sology Fest. It's all this information that people that create this vortex, but that it was becoming more difficult for me to get up and do it again. So I'm like, Morgan will tell you, I can flip it on, boom, and I'm there, but like coming out of it, is like, and I'm like, wow. So to me, it's like a little micro example of what we're all doing, because more stuff's coming in. They're more impactful. It's more concentrated code. And yet we're actually learning how to live with this new dynamic that's not going away. It's only expanding. So for me, that's kind of been the journey. I appreciate the words. And but I also can feel myself getting balance, in being able to deal with it. It's just never been presented to this effect. And I think this applies to all of us.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to just reference something too, because I thought it was really cool, right? So I saw this post that you put up yesterday announcing this show with the graphic that Morgan sent you. And you said you announced it, and then you said at the bottom, you said, tomorrow also just so happens to be Maha Shivaratri. And then you said, what is Maha Shivaratri, you ask? And then you wrote these words, quoted. You said, Maha Shivaratri. Maha Shivaratri. Jesus, I'm horrible. I should be able to say anything with any type of ethnicity because my last name ends in a vowel. But a night, so it means a night of awakening. So Maha Shivaratri is an opportunity and a possibility to bring yourself to that experience of the vast emptiness within every human being, which is the source of all creation. On the other hand, Shiva is known as the destroyer. On the other, he is known as the most compassionate. He is also known to be the greatest of the givers. The yogic lore is rife with many stories about Shiva's compassion. The ways of expression of his compassion have been incredible and astonishing at the same time. So it is a special night for receiving too. It is our wish and blessing that you must not pass this night without knowing at least a moment of the vastness of this emptiness that we call as Shiva. Let this night not just be a night of wakefulness. Let this night be a night of awakening for you. I thought that was really powerful. And the interesting thing is that last night, Morgan's birthday, Morgan and I and our very dear friend, BP Jewel on Facebook, that's not her real name, sat here and, had communion together, whatever you want to call it, right? So we had a triad going, and we've been in that situation before with her. And there was a culmination of an energetic achievement or threshold crossed. I've been watching it. I won't get into all the details of it unless it comes up that way. But Morgan did something she doesn't normally do, only with me. She started sitting at the table. She started doing light language, and when she does it, you'll never see her do it in public. But I mean, when she does it, it's like whoa. So then she started to channel, and it really kind of narrated what I think is like a collective occurrence, which really, in general, has to do with the feminine becoming her full power. And again, this is energy, not people so much. And inverse to that, the masculine shedding all the distortion, and as a kind of a final step to lead into the permanency. So to get to this point where temporarily the ball's been handed off to her. So he goes into this subservient, this beyond surrender, this pledge of allegiance. I'm going to hand you everything over because I trust you, and I'm stepping into the unknown in this fashion because we've had the ball for too long, whatever, however you put it. But the crazy thing was, after reading what you had written, I have a fire pit. So I had thought we might build a fire. So I wad up these pieces of typing paper, and I use those to start the fire. So they were sitting on the table. Now she's in the middle of this channel, or coming to the end of it. And I could see the energy field. I could see it here. I could see, the people that were involved, and it was just amazing. And all of a sudden, while she's in dimension, because that's basically the situation, She looks over at these six wadded up pieces of paper, and she says, "That's it. The answer is in there." And I know her. She was operating at the higher aspect. So she starts to unravel each paper, and every one of them was blank on the outside, blank on both sides. And I immediately got it. And I hadn't read this, but it was like and you should have seen her face. As she did each one of them, it was like bliss. It was like revelation and epiphany, non-verbally, right? And so she looked at all of them, and it was almost like this little kid giggle thing. Oh my God, that's it. That whole, I am nothing, I am everything. And to me, the way things are unfolding sequentially in the synchronistic manner that, this journey we're all on, reading this, I was like, oh, there it is right there. Right. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that. That you just, there's so much richness in what you just said. When Morgan had, Morgan is behind the scenes. She's doing so much behind the scenes behind Todd, and you guys have no idea what she's doing, navigating the ship in so many ways. And she gave a handful of dates. It was like, oh, I got to do the 11. I mean, if anybody knows me, I've got 11 tattooed on my thumbs here. 11 means something. So here we are on this 11th day, and I looked at it, I'm like, oh snap, that's on Maha Shivaratri. That has, we don't even know what's going to uncover and reveal itself on this day. But what I know, my twin brother, when you look at us, we kind of look like twins.
I know. You're much better looking than me, though.
No, I don't believe so. But that Baba Ram Dass talks about, there's a great movie out there that means a lot to Heather and I, and it's it's Becoming Nobody. His teachings was really about that. And my quest on this journey of awakening, you wake up and you go, oh my God, I'm God. Right. Oh my God, I'm the king. Oh my God, I'm so magical. Oh my God, I am, and then if you really track that, that's a Luciferian agenda. That can be like really become this, I'm so special. Look at me. And especially for somebody like myself in my lifetime, in this lifetime that I'm cognizant of, there's a lot of abandonment. There's a lot of neglect. There's a lot of places from the parents and places where you're looking for, I just want to be somebody. I want to be important. I want to be loved. Is that so wrong? As Harvey, was it, I just want to be loved. Is that so wrong?
Yeah.
That idea that we're looking for love in all the wrong places except within. And that path of becoming nobody is, I remember when I came into that awareness and Ram Dass sharing this, I was like, I wept. I'm like, therein lies my freedom. That liberation from, I don't need to be anybody special.
Right.
I'm nobody. And because I'm nobody, I'm everybody.
Yeah.
And what liberation that we can offer today, and just sharing this awareness that, you're somebody, right, Todd? You got Sology One Studios. You're out there in the world. You're somebody. Everybody knows Todd Medina.
But, for me, it's like I am God. I'm either in this one of two streams. I'm either I am God, which is I am nothing. I mean, what I mean? Or I am the lesser God. And to me, I am the lesser God. If you look at the patterns of construction of the realm, this brilliant, perfect playground that we've all had an equal part in designing, which is where the real beauty is, right? But if you look at it, even if you go back to, let's say, the Bible, and you've got the Watchers, somebody was babysitting us who had earned and been whatever, honorable enough, whatever, loved enough to be the Watchers for us. And then what happens? Fallen angels, and again, this is metaphoric. I'm not trying to get biblical, but so you have those that have been that have been entrusted, who are just like us, and they're not infallible, and so they become the lesser God. Oh, we're smarter than God. Oh, we can do this, and it's all in that dance of merging the physical and the non-physical, the known and the unknown, kind of thing. So yeah, that's how I see it. I relate to what you're saying.
An image came to me when I was just preparing today in the shower. And, when we get that water on us, some things kind of happen when we sit in the dark. I took a shower in the dark today and just allowed Spirit to speak. And And we found that it's in that idea that you're surrendering to that greater will of love, that greater will of intelligence, that greater will of all sentient knowing that not one of us have. We have only parts and pieces fractalized. And that surrender to that place where I had that image, and I keep having it in my image, in my mind's eye, where Hugh Jackman in the movie The Fountain, right? You've seen it. Like, it's in that complete moment, Satori, where he's in this surrendered state, like his back is arched and he's shooting up, like he's ascending in a surrendered state. And that's the art of this whole dance, I believe, that we do individually, and as you and I are doing it as best as we can every day in union with our beloveds.
Yeah.
Surrender to something greater than ourselves.
8 billion beloveds too, right?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's like, you know, part of the channel, she said last night, the way she ended it was fascinating. It was fucking fascinating because she said, and by the way, she reminded me, I kept wondering, why is this date so important? I'm going to ask him if he's Mr. 1111. And then I remembered right when she sent this to me, that's what made me remember that a year ago today, on 3/11/2020, we had, I guess you would call it physical herioscamos, and the seed was planted, the conception of the third energy, the golden child. A lot of people talked about this throughout the year last year, that it would birth on or around the winter solstice. And you know, again, this is an energetic occurrence that I'm sharing a physical experience that was a reflection of it, which takes me back to what she said last night, the way the channel ended. She basically was saying that, you know, this is us, right? The blank, it's a blank slate. It's a multifaceted meaning. It's, I am nothing, I am everything, pure white light, you know, and that we're coming into this knowing, and that basically, I'm going to use a little bit of her words as she ended it, but it's really my own paraphrasing. She basically said, and our gift is to be, just reflect that, just to reflect, like reflectors, you know? And I was like, whoa, like that's really, you know, it's that simple, like connect the dots A, B, C, D, as opposed to this myriad of, you know, multiplicity that was mostly been constructed and created by our own lesser God mentality because we're so smart.
You know what's auspicious, brother, is that the day we actually moved into a new place, Heather and I have been sharing homes for about 7 years since our relationship. We've been in communal spaces and sharing homes. It's beautiful. And so this last time, as you know, we called in our own space, just like you called in your space. And so we moved in just before solstice.
Yeah.
And one of the first things that came into our home, Heather had when she first crossed the threshold, was this golden angel. It was this, and we hang it on our light and our fan in our kitchen, in the dining area. But that was the first piece to come into our new space. And we have this beautiful home that it's called the Overlook. We're kind of overlooking, and we're holding the high watch. And she was greeted by the maintenance man here on the land of the Overlook, and his name was Jesus. And he was wearing this Los Angeles, the city of angels. Here was Jesus and the embodiment of, and carrying the golden Christ child into our new home. And it was like, we couldn't help but think about what, you know, we're always arcing with you two, right? So it's like, oh, right. Yeah. We're carrying the energy. We're reflecting this golden Christ child. You know, even so much so, like yesterday, Heather and I are in this 40-day process together, sharing a beautiful 40-day process together to go into really the end of conflict forever. And yesterday we were presencing the golden Christ child, and like, who is that? Are we caring for our children within and without? Are we really seeing each other in our childlike nature, our pure innocence? You know, we get so on the spiritual journey, we can get so caught up in our specialness and what we think we know. We get so more adult, you know, and I keep hearing, just lose the seriousness of this, have fun and play. And in that playful place that I know that I can dwell in, you know, that I tend to emanate the light without even trying to. I'm not trying to do it. It's just in that pure innocence play.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, you know, energetically speaking, multidimensionality speaking, comfortable in your own skin. Like that's kind of been on my radar, both on a personal level and observation level. Is wow, all I got to do is be me, but take it deeper. Like take the self introspection and the things that present themselves, but also that whole what is God, what am I am soul, all that. So I was trying to explain this to a friend of mine today. Like you're walking and your human's expanding, and it doesn't make sense because everything in this trip has been about like balancing, integrating. So distorted masculine, as an example, distorted masculine programs leave. Mother goddess energy that's been suppressed comes in. The balance. So something's being removed in theory, right? But to me, it's like this: the human is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but at the same time, all the multidimensionality, all the other aspects are getting bigger too.
Yeah.
And it's like the container is getting bigger, and the functionality is getting better, and it's just mind-blowing. People have been talking about clarity a lot the last few weeks. I've experienced it. I can't put my finger on it. I just know things are more clear. They make more sense. I mean, it's such a subtle, nonverbal, novel, based on our recent history anyway, novel, new language and, method of navigation. It's just, it's cool.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I've been actually feeling that in the last week or so, or 2 weeks. I mean, it's so interesting to even witness what Morgan presents, she channels through what she channels through. I tuned in the last couple of days and I can feel this. Like even the day that she reached out, it was a day where it was like there's such clarity and also just not it's a place of softer surrender, I think, in the masculine form inside myself. Like there's no need, I don't need to push so much because I'm a warrior in my heart. Like sometimes I look at what's going on in the world and I'm like, not on my watch. You're not doing this. And I want to go into battle. I want to go into fight. I want to take my 3 stones like David did and just knock the frick out of Goliath. And go, you're not doing this to my kids and their children. You're not going to do this. And so it's like you want to fight against, but there's this place where we're invited constantly, Heather and I constantly going in, like, let's just, if we dwell within our temple space and we do the great work, a couple in that powerful portal, you affect more than you could going out trying to wake people up.
Right.
It's that owning your space. And that here we go back to Om Namah Shivaya and Maha Shivaratri. It's interesting because it's the dance of Shiva in the heavenly realms. And we're saying, it's not outside of us, right? We all kind of agree to that. When we say Om Namah Shivaya, we're acknowledging the God presence within each one of ourselves and each other, and dancing in that joy. Dancing, right? It's the dance of Shiva. That means we got to be in joy. We got to be in celebration. If you don't like to dance, ladies and gentlemen, rethink something. Get out there and whip your body in some way. As I've been a DJ for 30 years, I love to get people dancing.
Yeah.
It's a joy, and maybe that's what we do in Sedona at end of May. We get people.
Yeah, turn it on, bro. I'll dance. I'll dance.
Right.
Dancing. I like what you said too, because that's to me the lesser God. What am I trying to say? The lesser God frequency, or the lesser God program or stream is. I'm so smart that I can tell you what you need to do. Or I can tell you what's wrong, or I can fix this, but going back to what she channeled, the way she ended that channel last night, just the words, you are a reflector, right? And I could see it all in the energetic field, this being comfortable in my multidimensional skin and just being a reflector, not being a mouthpiece. But as you're talking about that, this lesser God frequency where we're so smart, that what are we doing? We're reflecting that. Like, so even if we try to tell somebody till we're blue in the face, they don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's not them that's not getting it. It's we're not getting the fact that we don't, that's, like unnatural.
Right.
Like the imposition or the interference, or you know what I mean? That's an unnatural part of the, you know, orderly and the disorderly aspects of the universe. It's nothing has to be forced. And this is that dance I think you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just keep going back to, I mean, everybody knows, I'm sure, but just if you don't, David Hawkins' work, Dr.
Mm.
David Hawkins, you know, The Power versus Force, incredible material. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. But it's just that idea that there's a force, and we call, you know, in the Star Wars lingo, use the Force. The Force is one form of the Force, but
Mhm.
in the idea of what true power is, and is really that, again, I go back to the fountain. It's that place of surrender to that greater will of love within each one of you.
Right.
That is where your ascension, that's where the most power comes, in that great surrender. And I, you know, here's a story. Like, I have had a dream for mine. You know, I founded 3 different improv troupes in Los Angeles, being in the path of an actor, and great. I mean, I learned so much that I can't even put it in a simple statement here, but improv changed my life in understanding the power of the present moment, the power of saying yes, and the power of listening to your own intuitive, creative mind to snap from the 0 point out of, you know, there's nothing in improv. You're creating from nothing
Right.
constantly. And so that was a muscle that got created. But I had a vision of an idea called Let's Create. It's a kids program where I help kids tap into their divine imagination and keep that starlight lit inside them in the school system. As a father of a 14-year-old, I've been present in my son's school and watching their starlight get squeezed out in the school system. And what a gift we have on our nation right now. A lot of kids who are home, I know it's being challenged for parents who don't know how to do this. But as a homeschool father for the last 3 years, this was a gift to help our kids, you know, have less indoctrination in
Mm.
the school system. And then my point to the story is that was a seed thought in the mind of God. I didn't force that idea. I wasn't manipulating, trying to get this
Mm.
program, Let's Create. I let it go. And magically, all of a sudden, 2 weeks ago, brother gets a hold of me and says, "Hey, I want to have you come in and do this Let's Create." It just lit up, and it happened last week, and the kids were ignited.
Mm.
They're asking me back, and I get to go play with kids and help them create and stay in their divine imagination. And I, as an adult, as a 50-year-old, get to be silly and stupid. And that is such a joy. Again, it's that joy frequency. It's that pure
Mm.
play, where then we start manifesting from that place
You
without
get to
trying.
be a reflector, and you get to get reflected on by a bunch of kids. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah.
You know, you're the second person in the last 2 months that's had a similar experience or the same experience and told me about it. The other one was Vanessa, and I can't pronounce her last name, Cordino, I think. Thank you, or sorry if I got it wrong, but she was talking about that. She was talking about how she'd been involved with improv. I think she was in New York. I want to say streets in New York, and she kind of got this. You need to go do this thing, and then this whole part of her journey. I think over a period of quite a few years, like 8 or 9 years, she'd been doing this. In fact, I think she even moved to a city in the South, if I remember correctly, and she kind of got involved with a group there as well. But she was talking about how it had a very similar effect to what you're describing. Wow, wouldn't that be kind of a cool little segment in the Sology Fest to have an improv? That I've never done it.
Oh, brother, I say yes to that. That is it's, again, it's such a passion, and I'm passionate from a deep, deep, deep core place, because most actors, to be a great actor out in LA, you just got to have improv in your belt. It's just one of those tools that's going to help you be a better actor when you're on set, when you're in the auditions, and all that process of getting out of your mind, trusting, learning to listen to the casting director, because sometimes actors get in their heads. But this is for all of us. We're stuck in our mental 60,000 thoughts a day, and we're not listening to one another. We're not listening to spirit. We're not listening to that still small voice. And so improv is a powerful way to co-create with other beings in a place where it's a yes and. The improv life dies when we're in denial. We deny the information. We don't accept what's in front of us. We don't accept one another. But if we learn to go, okay, what are you giving? What are you saying yes to? And actually, improv, as I just come to found this deeper dive, it's truly a chivalric path, chivalry, of really not trying to force change upon another, force your will upon another. It's learning to receive and co-create in this new Aquarian energy of the age of co-creative. We're here to co-create heaven on earth, and we can't do it in a way. And so improv is a really powerful process that I would love to co-create, with some spiritual communities and help people get into that pure joy, pure play.
Right on. Right on. So speaking of the pure joy and pure playing and the easy and graceful moment by moment existence we have, painless and comfortable at all times.
Right.
There is something in common that we have, which is obviously we're in a relationship. These relationships are, one of many different templates that are being fulfilled that ultimately I think have one thing they share in common, which is to anchor specific, or maybe it's the same, energy back onto the earth. I've had a real interesting last few weeks, and I don't know how you feel about it, but there's been, I, without being leading, I rather just throw a couple of questions out to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where are you at on the vulnerability scale / how is the man in you today as opposed to a few weeks ago? Have you seen any change in the dynamics of your partner, your relationship, and anything else you might be able to add to that multidimensional question?
Love you, Todd. Love you, brother. I just dig you, man. I appreciate you being guided the questions you ask.
Mm-hmm.
I'll share you. It's truly, you talk about vulnerable. This is as hot off the press as of yesterday. One of the pain points in me as a man on this journey is that somebody had asked, I saw in the comment, just real quick, the 40-day process that Heather and I are is based on the Course in Miracles. And we're taking 40 days in the wilderness like Jesus did to really, leave an old way, fasting from those negative patterns of thought, of guilt, shame, I'm not enough, whatever those are for any one of us. But those are for me. Like there's this place where, at the end of the day, I feel like I've had to struggle with those grievances of feeling I'm just not enough. I'm not worthy. My worth is not something that I really, and I can tell you story upon story about why that is so. And so in the relationship dynamic, if I feel taken for granted, if I feel usurped, if I feel like there's a power struggle going on, because I'm all about supporting the feminine. I have been. I gave my heart and soul to my mother growing up as an older child. And then at the end of the day, I feel like my mom hasn't showed up, she's just kind of non-existent. And so there's a pain point of feeling taken advantage by the feminine. And because I'll lay down my life for you, but just don't disrespect me. Don't dishonor me. Don't cherish me because I cherish you. And so that's a grievance that I can hold in our relationship. And so there was an issue that came up yesterday, and we were in a little conflict situation. And she went and she took a bath, and I was sitting at the table, and I really felt in my heart, I'm like, I just want peace and connection more than being right.
Right.
So I went in there, I got on my knees right by her in the bath, and I just looked in her eyes and said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just want to I just let this go. I feel the grievance that I'm having. We're in this place of going, surrender your grievances, let your grievances go. You don't have to force anybody to do anything. And as men, we want to correct, and we want to fix, and we want to manage, and we want to. And so it was an effort. It was an opportunity, not an effort. It was just the most sweetest. And I cried. I wept. And she just held me. And that place of going, just wanting peace and connection more than trying to fix and manage and get her to see where she hurt me, and that was a place of pure surrender, pure connection.
Yeah.
And
Vulnerability.
a lot of vulnerability. And to be honest with you, that place, Dr. Brene Brown, that power of vulnerability, if you haven't seen it, watch it. But that changed my life many years ago. And I lived in a Christian church many years ago where we led. I believe if you open your heart, you show your weaknesses, you show, where those pain points are, where I am, you are. So if I say, ouch, this hurts, ouch, this is where I come from, then I know that we connect in that real raw place. And we had raw and real with powers of love for me. So I have no problem sharing my wounds and my places and my scars, but it's that place of vulnerability to surrender in a deeper way without trying to fix or manage her.
Yeah.
That was real and raw from yesterday.
So, how do you feel about this? And it's not gospel. It's just something that has popped into my field. I shared it with Morgan. I've kind of watched it happen as well, like both in my own shoes and some observations I've been, fortunate enough to observe or be a part of. Um, so the entire realm was embedded with whatever we designed, whatever that was, the imbalance that was set in motion to be the impetus for the expansion of a new balance, however you want to put it. And so obviously there has been a suppression of the energetics. We might call the mother goddess, the divine feminine of Sophia, whatever you want to call it. And that energy, that consciousness chose to be subservient to this template. We can call it the patriarchal template, which is a result of it. The men run the show, kind of thing. And we're talking energy metaphor. Nobody get too carried away, because obviously it doesn't always follow gender. But my point is, it's a imbalanced template. We all know this. We're all coming to terms with this in our own life and in general, in the collective, as we know, within, without. I reached this point of understanding and have tried to step into it. I think I'm doing okay with it. I'm making progress. I'm moving forward, even though there might be, like the old Chinese marathon runner that's 80 years old and takes those little survival steps. You know what I mean? But and that is to take a pledge, and I mentioned this earlier, of subservience. Of total beyond surrender. Okay, everything I'm putting in your hands, because that's the only way that I'm going to be able to really, really embody where you're coming from, the part that's missing in me. I'm not going to be able to, it's not enough to give it lip service. And I'm like you. I've supported, I've tried to create space. I've tried to learn to hold space. I've quieted down. I've done all these things through this feminine energy that I believe is leading all of us, really. But on a personal level, to seed into the collective the physical manifestation of this energetic thing I'm talking about, which is to say, I'm all yours.
Mm.
Can you relate to that? Does this, any part of that?
Yeah. There's a part that, I truly believe, Todd, it's a mutual yielding. I truly believe it's a dance. There's an image that I have on my phone that I keep, and Heather and I go off to China. Give you backstory. We go to China and we do music, and we work with the ancient Tibetan teachings, the Himalayas, and we work with Vajra wisdom and the Daka and the Dakini. We understand the Dakinis. We understand, if you're familiar with Dakinis, they're muses, they're the sky dancers. There's these things, but also well unknown is the Daka. And they dance together in their beautiful dance of lead and follow, lead and follow. And it's that place where I believe that's where Heather and I are doing our dance, in that place of surrendering to each other, yielding to each other, because we both carrying these energies. It's not just she's the feminine only, you know what I mean? We're not talking about that. Right. We're talking about a divine being surrendering to another divine being in love, in holiness, in wholeness, holy self, that we are navigating. That is the 1111 portal, that we are a stargate when we are in our divine, balanced, harmonic partnership. And that when we're yielding to love to each other, there is a powerful, potent energy that emanates. And it's not one serving and surrendering to one another. It's really, let's surrender to love. And when you lead, I follow. When I lead, you follow. We're doing this dance, and that's the powers of love. This is our whole ministry. This is our destiny. How do we do this? And there is this place where it's like I mean, Heather Grace Powers, if you all don't know Heather Grace, she's with me right now. We're talking about her. She's a golden angelic being that her music will activate, inspire, and awaken love within you in such a potent way. And I'm like, as her lover, as her friend, as her partner, it's like lift her up, surrender that to her. And there's a place where we blend, we harmonize, we hold our unique geni, that genius of ourselves,
Mm.
of using our unique emanations of vocal impressions upon the matrix to activate, elevate, and inspire one love, Christ consciousness. And so we do that in partnership in our own unique ways. So there's that place where, there's a lot of beta men out there. It's like we need in our time the divine union standing where the masculine is not overpowering, but is speaking with truth, because our time is needing men to rise to their Shiva, Om Namah Shivaya, that place of I am the light of God. And I'm not here to oppress and oppose and control she, but I'm here to be in concert with she, and she is in concert with he. And that's really, I feel like God gave me these blueprints of something I was not yet to see. Feel like it's not like it's not known. We haven't seen it, but we need to rise her up. But it's not to negation of he.
Yeah. No. No, and that's why it's so difficult to talk about it, because of the immediate connotations that are associated with the words that we're using. Female, male, masculine, feminine, divine, distorted. It's just it's the work we do. How do you talk about the work we do? But to me, so if I took it into myself, I've got this series of programs running that have, through my life, obviously the feminine was present. The feminine, multiple programs were present, but there was this dominant, vast majority, patriarchal, distorted masculine, whatever these words you want to use, that have been shedding. But at some point, kind of like, if you've ever like cleaned anything, that got really dirty or rusty or, just, and you start to clean it, and then you start to get like really engaged with it. Like, so you're going into all the crevices and the crooks and the crannies, and you're really like, and then maybe you even take the carburetor off and you clean the inside of that. You know what I mean? It's like that. To me, it's like this final, okay, I've come this far. I didn't come this far just to come this far. and I don't have the omniscience, I don't have the to know, did I get it all?
Yeah.
But there is a way I can. Somebody used the term devotion, or so again, let's not get lost into semantics. I'm just saying that, like, for me, and this is a futile attempt to verbalize this energetic occurrence or happening, which is I'm giving all now. Now, is this a copy and a reflection of my relationship with the divine? That is, and that I am. I mean, so we can get, but to me, there's just like this final push, and it's no different than if you, let's say, like stepping through a fear or making a choice, and then you've done that. I know, because we've had conversations, everyone here, where you don't know. The only thing you know is where you're at, and you also know you can't stay here. So I got to go through this door. Right? I got to go through this door.
Yeah.
It's the same sequence every time. I don't know what the F is on the other side.
Yeah.
You've never let me down. It's never a smooth, seamless transition, although I know that possibility is there. And the bottom line is, what are you doing sitting here? You're going to have to do it sooner or later. Just get through it, right? Yeah. So to me, it's that same element of not knowing. And it just seems like all the other doors have been open and walked through, and I just want to make sure, and that's just my own metaphorical explanation,
I love it. I'm just really tuning into that space that you're speaking of, and it's really that the Heart Sutra in Prajna, the Prajna Paramita in the Tibetan wisdom is that divine wisdom, supreme wisdom, and the Heart Sutra, the Diamond Heart Sutra, says Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhisoha. Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhisoha. And so what that translates is we're leaving the shore of the known and going into the unknown. We're going into a new way. There's an evolutionary way of being that's calling us. And they're really, what we require on earth more than anything is evolutionary love relationships. And how we do this, how we do partnership. And it's really, we're in unknown territory. We know we have to leave behind the shores of the known of what we've seen our parents and parents and parents, and let go and shed all the old ways of being and evolve. And that requires us to go into the great mystery, the great Sophia, the great void of rebirth. But we must die before we were born into this new way of being. And I know
Yeah.
each of us are being called to examine, and that's what this 40-day process that I'm talking about, that is free, by the way. Lisa Natoli, it's free. We don't own it. Go out there and get it. It's an app. You can do it yourself. It'll change your life. It's changing ours. But we have to let go of our grievances that we're holding from ancient ways of being. The men that are rising, I didn't like being a man. I saw men. I didn't have a good father experience. I didn't grow up seeing great men. I didn't have any. The only male heroes I had was Bruce Lee, Yoda, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Fictional characters that I didn't know Bruce Lee, but I'm sure he had his own foibles and things. But
I like Han Solo and Chewbacca.
yes, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
we're really just, we're in new territory. We don't know what that looks like, but I've had to come back to own my own masculine energy and
Right.
okay with it, and not be afraid that it's gonna, tear. I'm almost 6'4". I'm a big guy. I can be, my presence can threaten somebody just by being,
Mm-hmm.
I've learned to be gentle and kind and loving, and we're learning.
Yeah.
Sisters out there, we're here. We're doing our best, to integrate all this and surrender to you.
Yeah. But you still want to kick the shit out of the giant every now and then.
Oh,
So
yeah.
to me, that's like, and that's a really good point, what you brought up too, because it's something Morgan and our friend, we were discussing the other day, or actually last night. And I had discussed it with Morgan a couple of days before about the getting to a point where I understood that if I raised my voice and I was being told that you're raising your voice, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Now, to me, I'm not. But I started to understand as I tapped into my feminine, both within and in front of me, that you're not, she's not seeing what you're seeing. And not only that, she's coming from a place of suppression and oppression and subservience and powerlessness or whatever you want to call it. So she's got all that going, and then you're going to raise your voice. Now that's seen as, you might think it's on a scale of 1 to 10, a 2.
Mm-hmm.
They're seeing it as a 22 because they're seeing the energetic force of that. So those types of things, what I'm talking about. So like even in regard to like your own journey, if everything is proportionate, which it has to be, right, to the whole, like each individual facet of God, goddess is it looks different, but it's all actually the same kind of math, cosmic math. Like, so if I look at, where did I look at the feminine energy at 5, at 15, at 25, at 30, and then I awaken 10 years ago, and where is it, at 50, and then 55, and now almost 60. My whole perception isn't just changed, it's changing. And this is what's got my inquisitiveness going. Like, so there's so many ways to approach that as a question. Like for me, like to you would be like, who is she to you? Who is Heather to you? Who is what Heather represents to you? Who is Sophia to you? Who is the divine feminine to you? Who is the mother goddess to you at this stage of the game? Understanding that we'll never be able to fully define it.
That's a huge question. I mean, sitting right in front of me, if you could all see, is a beautiful, huge Guadalupe sitting right in front of me. To my left, Kuan Yin, like the home is full of she. Um, she is my breath. She has been misunderstood, and she has been so patient with us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Long suffering comes to my mind, of just that place of serving. You figure out all the years of she serving the home, serving the children, serving the man, serving. It's to be in that place where that is it takes a great patience to be in that place and not just rip our heads off.
Mm-hmm.
That place where she deserves all of me. She requires that from my heart, and that place of surrender, patience, and gentleness that I do. I mean, to take it from the micro of Heather Grace Powers in my life into the Ma, Sophia and the Christos are one and one. They're just that's the dance that we're doing internally inside each one of us. And as we do that with each other, and we see, I always say, Heather, you are a good looking version of me, man. And she is that feminine aspect. I mean, as a female, have you heard me sing yet? That's Heather Grace Powers, and Heather is the embodiment of grace when we talk in our home. And I'm a truth, like I'm a warrior of truth. And so sometimes my sword will come up a little abrupt. I'm not afraid of conflict. I'll say the thing that needs to be said. And so I'm learning to be with grace. And so it's this beautiful, she is the peace. And it's not that I am not incomplete. I'm not incomplete, but she makes sense of who I am, and I make sense of who she is. And that's that place of, yeah, I wouldn't want to do it any other way, and
Mm-hmm.
we closed the door on that a long time ago, and we just said, look, we're going to go to the mat. We're going to continue to work our place of love within ourselves better and better. So somebody said wolf on a leash.
I love that. Violet Mellon and Bruce Fischetti are Sology YouTube wordsmiths. I mean, they have this play on the words. It's excellent. I love that though. Wolf on a leash. Um, yeah, I was. I hear you, man. I appreciate that. That was beautiful. You know, so I was on Morgan's page because I was looking for something, and I just happened to start going down it because I hadn't checked it, and I missed a couple of things. So I found this one like 15 down, and it was written by a lady, and uh, it was citing sacred sexuality, but it wasn't about the physical intimacy so much. It was more about the vibration or energy of sacred sexuality and what that looked like. Again, metaphorically speaking, now, what she said was that when two, and she didn't differentiate man and woman, she even made a reference to if it's a homosexual couple, the same thing can be achieved. But what she was saying was, and again, this was like a metaphoric explanation, always futile, of these things that are never ending, right? Infinite. But she said that when both partners are entering the space through the feminine is how this starts, right? Is how this you enter this place. And I thought, wow, that really makes a lot of sense. Now, whether that's the literal, and we wouldn't talk about the etymology of words and semantics, it's not about that. It's just about a feeling. It's about an energy. It's about a futile explanation. How do you say this? Because it is a nonverbal kind of thing. So, in regard to that,
Mm-hmm.
I can really relate to that over these last few weeks.
Mm.
Have you had any alteration in the energy of sacred sexuality with you and Heather, be it in privacy, in physical intimacy, or walking down the street holding hands, whatever it is? Have you seen any significant change this year?
Oh, I don't. I don't know. I can the thing that for me as a man, I'll be honest with you and transparent. It's that cleaning the field. It's clearing the field out from all the remnants that can get distorted and get involved, so I've had to take off apps that are not helpful for me, like TikTok or Instagram, you know what I mean? Like these things that where lust can kick in. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
that has been something that I can point to that's actually helping our connection to,
Mm-hmm.
clear the field, and to make sure that I watch my thoughts like a hawk, and I watch my actions. And if TikTok comes in, if it's not helpful, then just get rid of it. If it's, if you're consuming something, and those things, whether we know it as men or not, they infiltrate the field,
Yeah.
and our women know it. They feel it in their body systems, and so that's something I can point to in the last couple of weeks, that has shifted just dramatically. Not that there's, in all transparency for your listeners here, I come from the rooms of recovery of Sexaholics Anonymous.
Right.
I've been an addict in my life, and it's because of dealing with life on life's not understanding how to deal with all the emotional field, from years of trauma. And so that's that place where I can see and I can point to clearing the field and being vulnerable and open and transparent with my beloved about that has really invited her into a deeper trust.
Mm-hmm.
And so the connection, like, oh, literally, that's interesting. Now you're having me think, like, our times together have been actually a lot more connected, very potent, and and connect. Yeah, just deeply connected without any results. Without
Mm-hmm.
we can get deep into this in another conversation, but this is, you know, our time of communion together is not for an achievement. It's not for
Right.
a result. It's to commune together.
Ejaculation isn't a component of it.
Yeah,
That's
we're not
every
saying.
now and then. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, okay. So another way I'd put it would be, and again, this is energetic, so that's more important than the potential literal aspect or the physical aspect, but because I look at the sacred sexuality as the core of the physicality of my power, of my love, of my collaboration, however you want to put it, that is actually going to be seen in every single aspect of my life.
Mm.
Right? This is where the physical meets the non-physical. This is where the magic meets the, I mean, it's all there. But there's this point, and I totally get what you're saying. In fact, let me just stop for a second. Let me digress for a second. This is a huge proposition, and I love that somebody said same thing, but she's a woman. I forget who it was. I just saw it a minute ago. The programs, the porn, the lust oriented programs, all that sexual distortion has been a big factor, and it's still a significant blip on the radar that we do have to be conscious of. I don't know that I've surpassed that. I haven't really been active in that type of stuff for quite a while, but I have my days. I'm sure. It hasn't been a big thing the last couple, 2-3 years, but what I have reached, and I guess this is another way to kind of probe this with you, is this surrender totally to the feminine power, to the feminine itself, which is a very multi-dimensional statement, right? So it's maybe physically to my partner and etherically to the mother, and so it's like, it's beyond that point where we've talked about this, where you lose your libido, you lose your erection, you lose your balls, and you just stand there going, okay, what the hell? Where's the warrior now? But it's even beyond that. It's like vulnerability. It's way beyond vulnerability, way beyond surrendering. And what I'm getting isn't what I'm getting. What I'm getting is what I'm giving. Like, it's fucking weird. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm okay. I'm gonna go up another level here. I'm gonna find a deeper level of vulnerability. Literally, like being, and this is again a metaphor, being laid out on a table to be filleted and stuffed in bags and put in the freezer. I mean, like, you're just totally giving up to this, and it's not out of fear, and it's not. And so what has come into me has been, it's not like, wow, what does she think? It's more like, wow, you just hit this level of like, is it heaven or hell? Right. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like this place, the
Mm,
abyss just got bigger. Or the abyss, you just hit an elevator in the abyss and you went up about 22 different floors. You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah.
and so the gift of it, I haven't got to the rest of it because I haven't experienced it. But what I have gotten is, wow, you've actually been able to reach this level, and it's creating all this stuff that I can't even, put my finger on. But that's what I'm getting at.
I
Like,
feel you. I hear
yeah,
you. I don't know if anybody else feels and hears this, but this is, somebody said initiation, this is, I mean, you've seen it in art, I mean, I have the image in my head where you see the knight being knighted by she, it's that place of sort of full surrender.
hmm
And, our home is called the Temple of Grace. You
hmm
know, it is full of she. It's all about she. My beloved Heather designed it and created it. It's full of beauty. It's full of class and intentionality. And this is a home that's been created by she. And so it is metaphorically and symbolically, that's the place where we dwell,
yeah,
and where we love and make love and be loved in. And um, it's an amazing time to be here, and we're still stumbling, and as Todd, you said, we're taking our little baby steps,
hmm
and
yeah.
letting go of layers and letting go of
Those
layers.
survival steps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
But I
one
know
inch at a time.
that love can't fail us, and if we surrender to that in each other, we're just gonna, this is the greatest time to be alive. I know it's scary, and
Yeah,
we've had one of the best years we've ever had in 2020, and it's getting better as it gets better.
yeah.
And
Well, that's for sure. I mean, there's no doubt. Any of us look back 10 years, whatever, 8, 10 years, 2012, whatever, and with everything that's going on and all the levels of confusion and all the, everything, something's happening.
yeah,
Like something that's affecting every aspect, everything, everyone. Nobody is excluded.
yeah,
Nobody's immune. You're like, hey, it's almost like a walking the plank kind of thing that carries the polarity of
mhm,
fear, disgrace, shame, da 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 da, and then this other side you know
yeah,
that's just the best of the best, from the human perspective. Ease and grace and relaxation and stimulation and just and we're walking the plank, and it's in the middle for a reason.
yeah. It
you know
is. It is. It is. And that's, again, I keep going. Everything that you're saying is just in line with this 40-day process we're in, that my
hmm
beloved did once, and she invited me to do it with her again. I'm
hmm
grateful. And it's that place where we're leaving an old way of life and walking a new way, and letting go of our stories, what story we keep telling ourselves of who we be, what love is, and what it's supposed to look like, and we might find some stories out there in the world and find some gems, and this little story, I like this story.
hmm
Story looks like a dragon, doesn't it? You know, um, what stories are serving us? We get to choose our own adventure, and what stories are we regurgitating about each other and about
yeah,
ourselves?
yeah, yeah. The stories are falling flat for me,
Hmm. Hmm.
regardless. That's why I'm gone. I don't know. That's maybe part of the reason uh, I've gotten to this point where, like, so if you imagine, for instance, that this is an Amazon culture, a realm, that it's a matriarchal instead of a patriarchal,
I dream to
and
go
that,
in.
you know what I mean, with all the different right. Let's go. But
Yeah.
like with all the everything being proportionate as it is now, but you flip it. So imagine that. Imagine uh, being the one that's suppressed, oppressed, raped, molested. All the programs, right? But it was the male. Imagine their muscles are bigger than ours. Imagine they're taller than us. Imagine that they take us, so to speak. Imagine everything's reversed. So now, what would happen? And I'm sure that has happened as we approach the ascension program or the ascension process or the cycle of cycles of as the universe continues. it has to swing back, right? It has to swing back like a pendulum. It has to. It'll never get to the center. And if you've got all that momentum, it's going to slide past a little bit, and then it's going to rock back, and then it's going to rock back, and then you're going to create an expansion of the 0 point, and but that's where I think we're headed for, is where there is first individual transformation, realization of uh, androgyny, maybe is the way to say it, and then you start to see it, like everything else, occurring in the shared external experience that we have.
Yeah. That's it, brother. I mean, that's something that, the four of us and the two of us and the three of us will continue this conversation. And that happens. Time and space is but an illusion. It's just but a thought. A holy instant happens now. And that pendulum can swing in each one of us and our unions to the level that we continue to, resist it. There's a move with that flow, but that place can come into equilibrium, into divine harmony in any one moment that we choose.
Yeah.
And we can collapse. There's a great teaching in the Course of Miracles called the holy relationship. Most of us are in special relationships. We're in barter and exchange, and you give and I give, and if you say I'm sorry, then I'll say I'm sorry. On and on. I'm going to simplify it, but the teachings of what Jesus teaches in the Course in Miracles is that the holy relationship can collapse time and space.
Right.
So,
right. Right. That's how you time travel.
Exactly. And so we
That's
can
how you
do
time
it
travel.
now. We don't have to wait for a 30, 40, 50, 100 years for, now we're in the matriarchal time and we're bowing to only goddess. It's like, no, let's bow. We the time we built the man temples on the female temples on this planet. Where are the temples of divine union, of the Dorla, of that place? And that's where I believe that we're holding those keys and codes for the new evolutionary relationships that will bridge heaven and earth and expand. We're expanding in this. We're bringing this supernal divine power, love, energy inside our unions and our relationships and our own, chakra systems, and embodying. We're expanding is that. And some of us are breaking up at the seams and it's causing schisms, but that's what I see happening within our local space.
Yeah, I love that. If you read anything about, I know we got to get out of here, but I mean, if you read anything about time travel and secret space and some of the other things that have been written on it, they talk about folding time and space. And so as you were saying that, I was thinking, these are it's the same sacred geometric equation. It just takes on different forms, small, big, and maybe that's what it is in using that nomenclature. Maybe what happens when a wormhole is created or a black hole is birthed is this dance reaches a new level of the feminine and the masculine and becomes that one that was created in the image, as in created in the image, being duplicated, replicated, and expanded each time.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been cool.
Fascinating, brother. Always.
So, are you guys doing any work online? You doing any sessions or anything like that?
We're actually getting ready to launch a 3 keys to true love, and we're also going to be doing a series on wellness. Heather and I have co-founded an amazing wellness company that's really grounded in wellness, helping people build up their immunity and helping them create prosperity. If you need support in your health and in your wealth, that's something we're very passionate about and are growing in that. And we're getting to do 3 series on dealing with wellness coming up. So follow us at The Powers of Love. Stay tuned if you're not on Facebook. We definitely have some amazing free offerings that we're just going to give content and value to our community here.
Is this website or Facebook or both?
It will be
well, I mean, how they can find information.
I would definitely go to our powersoflove.com and subscribe to our list, because we're going to be sending out information about these through that portal.
Right on, brother. I'll see you.
Man. Love you so much.
Take care. Big hug. Yeah, big hugs